sheriffs is the pillar. So setting up the sheriffs and getting the notices out is considered setting up our pillars and what Anna has asked, our assemblies to do. So,
You
but
care to repeat that now that the recording's going about
no,
me?
not at all. Someone reached out this morning about the vetting to Bob on ombudsman, for Justin, and they were curious. I'll let Bob tell you what he's done today. Hold on.
Can we do the Bivens decision first? Would that be okay?
I'm sorry. This is upsetting me. I don't want to lose anybody in our assembly.
Okay, yeah, okay. Let me get the Bivens decision out of the way. Okay, I apologize. I am unable to share because it's giving me a message that Windows needs to repair. So I've hit the repair button. So let me just, without sharing, do the Bivens decision again. Let me try and open it up real quick. Since there's no really agenda, since those have been foregone for some reason, it's just the same agenda from September, but the Bivens decision, there it goes. Let's see if I can open it up now. Oh, yeah. Okay. This is, let me get this out of the way. This is Tuesday, October 22nd, 2024, the Kentucky General Assembly meeting. I'll read the Bivens decision. This meeting is private, bearing false witness, misrepresentation, and posting inflammatory rhetoric in public forums is forbidden and shall be addressed in an appropriate manner. To eliminate all conflict and false allegation, is there anyone in attendance at today's meeting that is a member or agent of any law enforcement agency or public agency of the federal, state, county, or city township agencies present? Additionally, are there any U.S. citizens or citizens of the United States present? Anyone who is here under false pretenses? Anyone who is working for any foreign government, including the territorial United States, municipal United States? Anyone who is being paid or coerced to be here must fully disclose their presence and purpose now or leave the premises. If they subsequently show up as a federal witness, they are discredited for failure to disclose. Is there any response to the Bivens decision? All right. Now, being that I am the subject matter of the complaint, I'm requesting that it not be brought up on the General Assembly meeting. With that said,
Anna is still texting me. I was getting ready to put it in the chat. So she said, we are faced with vague information and do not have what we need to evaluate. I can screenshot this and I don't know how to put it in until someone coughs up an article,
do you not
names of
understand what the
investigating officers.
do you
Okay,
not
and
Laura.
the
understand
order.
what the ombudsman's
May
for?
I, Laura?
Yes.
What he's saying is you all need to research this off the meeting and not in an open forum as an ombudsman investigation. You need to pull it off of here and evaluate it with Joe and like I said earlier, they were the ones that did the vetting, so you need to talk to Joe and not discuss this on an open forum. So can we do that? I mean, it's,
Yes,
you know,
yes.
all this stuff is personal, so it needs to be taken, you know, everybody doesn't need to have jump to judgments on stuff before it's even investigated. Okay,
Okay, I agree.
okay.
And this is Justin Jones on Lincoln County. This has already been handled once. The ombudsman has every piece of information they need to handle this. I thought this was discussed already. But anyway, we'll see how it plays out. I yield.
Okay. The only thing that I've really been working on this week is the sheriff's notices. I have a couple of templates from Lucas on Illinois. They started with the Sheriff's Association. Um, and what I was saying is on Sunday's coordinator call, we were going over the how to assemble, and she did read that, you know, our drill assemblies had to be up for, you know, the sheriffs. And I questioned her on that on the record. You can get the recording. And she said that we needed to change that to a general assembly. So I'm taking it that's because we're at land law now. So we can get sheriffs at the general assembly level. And it is standing our pillars. So that's what I have been personally working on. Um, and that's all I have to offer for tonight. And I'll yield and let the rest of the meeting commence.
Okay, just for the record, I've got my hand up. On our Marshal at Arms Bridge calls, and I can share the latest call with you. I'll put it in the chat. It's been suggested that we do not go by the How to Assembly handbook until it's been okayed by Anna. So, and Michelle Ford was on a call about a month and a half ago talking to Anna directly as you are during text. And Anna replied about all that it is still a work in progress. The woman that is working on it is not even part of the California Assembly. So that how to build an assembly handbook has from the Marshal at Arms and Continental Marshal Service bridge call is being told to the marshals on every state that comes to those calls not to even pay attention to that right now because there's a lot of bad information on there. Like I said, I'll share that in the link in the chat. That way y'all can see it for yourselves. I'll yield.
Yes, Anita and I were just talking about that. A lot of things are changing, and they are running into you know, the problem on many. There's many ASNs, you know, like even when we're in litigation, and they're like, well, if she could just maybe say we don't need that article anymore. And Melissa has said it too, but I think things are starting to move kind of fast, and we're not keeping up. You know, it's 5,000 articles when you come on. I mean, I will be honest, I have not read all 5,000. You know, I kind of go and search as I need, and I try and keep up with what I can that's coming out now. So I'm more fortunate. I'm not looking at the old ones. I did like do the, you know, what to do when you go into court, and found out that it was kind of outdated too when I first started. So, you know, some of the articles, that's why I try to go to so many live meetings so I actually know what's kind of going on. But that does make our researching kind of difficult. And I do think they're trying to, you know, they're getting more organized every day. But I'll yield.
May I, this is Anita on Mead. Yeah, Anna has said several times, don't start at the beginning of her articles, start at the most current, but like Melissa stated one time, you don't know, I guess you go by the number, which one is the latest one, I guess. She was talking about dates on some of them, but I guess you go with the higher number, and that would be the most current article that she's put out on different things. So Yeah, half the articles aren't prevalent anymore on anything, so, I yield. May I again, this is Anita on me, but, as we talked about earlier, I think it's, I don't know, Justin, do you have to wait a certain amount of time to advance a coordinator's call where everybody can listen to it? I know you used to do it in the past, but anything on these coordinator calls presently that needs to be put out to everybody, can Laura just go ahead and post the recording on Monday or after the meeting's over?
Yeah, of course, that's what we've been, not just of Laura, but any coordinator that's in that position, we have requested that. I did
Okay,
it,
I didn't know
yeah.
if you had to wait a certain amount of time or what, but
No, Terry does a really good job of, she's got a lot on her plate, but she does a good job at what she can. Sometimes they come out on the, she's got to do her thing to get them able to be able to share. And then sometimes she shares them on a Monday or a Tuesday. So just whenever, we just need somebody monitoring that traffic. When it comes in, of course, yeah, I'm always for that information being put out. That takes the burden off the coordinator position. And it also keeps information spread out among us to where it's not, nobody can have any stones thrown at them as far as being hoarding information or anything like that. So um, give me a minute and I'll check that email. And if I can find them, I'll put them in the chat. That way everybody has them.
so is it just you or Laura that has access to those to forward it to us, or can we go into uh TASA and find it ourselves, or how does that work?
I don't know what Laura has access to. She has a state email, a coordinator email, and to best of my knowledge, her and Terry are communicating through that email. That's how she gets the links to those calls. I have the international email that,
So
yeah, go ahead.
only the coordinators can advance those recordings to the rest of us, correct?
Right. That's part of the coordinator's duty to the assembly as part of working for the
Okay,
federation is
okay,
to disseminate information.
all right. I didn't know if we could go on to, I didn't know if TASA had a link where uh, we could go in and listen to any of the coordinators' calls in the past or not. That's what I
No,
was asking.
yeah, I don't
Okay,
think
all right,
so.
all right, thank you.
You're welcome. I'm looking for past marshal at arms bridge calls too. Because I want everybody to know that I'm not just making this up and trying to shoot that handbook down. It is actually being discussed on the Continental Marshal at Arms bridge call. So let's see here. I yield.
This is
Belinda?
Belinda on Bullet. I just watched a couple of videos, training videos for vetting services, and I really found it very interesting. And we just did our first one with that new vetting process, and they actually do recommend that everyone goes through that vetting process before voting is done on positions. Um, and they did say that, I mean, it's up to the assemblies, but to do that vetting service for all of their members. And I thought it was very interesting because the vetting actually goes through and it involves a committee of people throughout the assembly who goes through the questions that is on the the vetting questionnaire, and then allows opportunity for other questions to be asked that may not be on the vetting. And I found that that was very interesting. And actually, I learned more about that one person during that vetting call than I've ever learned about vetting or a person in our assembly. I thought it was very neat. and I do have it, but I don't know how to share it in the chat. But I found it very interesting, and I thought, because it was a training that they were doing for, I want to say it was Ohio or Tennessee, one of them. And it was just very interesting. So I'd be interested in everyone else's feedback. I don't know if you all have watched any of those training calls, but it was very interesting. And with that, I yield.
May I, Belinda?
Of course.
The one that I saw with Paul Pappas, the senior chief marshal, he did request that that video only be shared among vetting committee. So we do have an established vetting committee. So anybody that wants to reach out to Chris Kelty as chairman of that vetting committee and wants to jump on board with that, I encourage that to be handled at the vetting at the committee level. Because one thing that we did wrong with that past, here's how it went for all transparency and public knowledge. Chris Kelty, the chairman of the vetting committee, reached out to Belinda and I as state treasurer and marshal at arms, requesting that one of us be on the vetting call with Austin. The training says as many as possible. So I volunteered my time to help out, and hindsight 2020, after watching that training, it's recommended by the Continental Marshal Service that I, as a state marshal at arms, not be involved in that, because on that training video, it was on Tennessee. They were vetting a woman. She had volunteered to let everybody use her vetting call as a learning process. And so on that vetting, before it started, Senior Chief Pappas told the state marshal at arms, David Schuster, Marshal David Schuster, that he was not to say anything to this call. He's really not supposed to be, it's not really a conflict of interest, but it's not his lane. So I was kind of in the wrong on that vetting. But I encourage everybody to help our vetting out. That way we can, we're not vetting the man or the woman, we're vetting the position, right? And so that's the wrong word. So I encourage everybody to reach out to the chairman, Chris Kelty. If you want to be part of that vetting committee, that's one committee that we have established that I'd be willing to go through a whole nother vetting process to keep all this crap that keeps getting brought up time and time again. Let's nip it in the bud, I'm not afraid of my past. Why should everybody else be? But anyway.
Do you have a copy of your own vetting? Like, I don't think I even have a copy of mine, but you're really good at saving things. You're way more organized than me.
They never sent me any copy of it. The Continental Marshal Service has a copy of my vetting. They should have a copy of all states' vetting they did at the time. When they did our vetting, they vetted Ray Briney. They vetted Cheryl Certain, the recording secretary. They vetted all of our treasury at the time. So they went state by state and vetted every officer position. And as a matter of fact, I was not allowed to have any credentials, any emails until I was fully vetted. I, wanting to do so much, kept asking Cheryl Certain, hey, can I have these emails? I'm wanting to send out a mass email. And she, full of integrity, said, Justin, I'm very sorry, but you have not been vetted yet, so I cannot give you that information. So yes, there is a copy of my vetting somewhere.
Well, Joe and Ray both vouched for you, and Melissa did too. So the way I look at it, I mean, they know that you have been, and that's 3 people. That's
So
3 witnesses.
Right. So the ombudsman has this already, right?
Has what?
Your husband, Bob Domick, the ombudsman for the Kentucky Assembly, has all the information he needs.
Yes, for us to be continuing this meeting.
Yeah.
Oh,
To
okay.
protect me, right? Because that's what an ombudsman does, is protects its officers.
Yes, I have all the information I need.
All right. I trust it will be handled accordingly. Thank you.
Exactly.
May I, Laura?
Yes.
You were asking about copies of the vetting processes. I mean, the final vetting papers. I mean, I would just think if the Continental Marshals have that on their records, and if you have a question about somebody, I would just contact the marshal's office. That way you don't have to deal with all the extra paperwork and everything. Just call them and ask them. And, if you do need a copy, they can, I wouldn't think they'd want to send the vetting processes around though. But, if you have a question about somebody being vetted, I would just contact Continental Marshals. That'd be the easiest thing to do. I yield.
Thank you.
May I add that there's somebody's hand up? Is that mine? I'm sorry, I can't see. Is there somebody before me? I don't want to jump line.
It was me, but I'm sorry. I forgot what I was saying, so I just lowered it. I apologize.
The coordinator position works for the Federation. They don't work for the Kentucky Assembly. So you're at
Right.
that same level. You should be able to just jump right across and talk to them. I yield.
So just to be clear, you're talking about talking to the Continental Marshals as far as my vetting.
If you have a question about somebody's vetting, we just contact the Continental Marshals and ask them.
Right. But what was your question about? When are you going to be vetted by the Continental Marshals?
No, I've been vetted by the Continental Marshals. No, mine was you saying that with me being the Federation, that I can just go to the Continental Marshals. That's who you were talking about when you were saying them.
Yes.
I just wanted to clarify that. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm a little slow. I've not had much sleep. So it's one of those days where my mind's not working as fast, and I do apologize.
No, I apologize, but no, you both work for the Federation. The Continental Marshal Service is across the aisle, the federal marshals. Federal marshals being corporate, them, Continental Marshals being land and soil jurisdiction, international land and soil jurisdiction, working for the Federation. You work for the Federation as well as a coordinator. But I'm not really sure. I would check into that, Laura, because I only know that the Continental Marshal Service has requested that our vetting committee on the Kentucky Assembly handle all those vetting procedures until they can get to us as a state. So Federation employees, coordinators, anybody new that's come on that has not already been vetted by the Continental Marshal Service, let's say like Belinda or Chris Kelty or Todd Carney would have qualified as a militia commander. All that vetting we're supposed to keep in a file ready for when the Continental Marshal Service gets to us. We just hand them that file, they go through it, and they set up a vetting interview, which I want to reiterate. The first one we just did with Austin is the way we should have been doing them the whole time. So I would move the floor from Belinda's suggestion that we go back and we do everybody the right way. And we house that within the vetting committee or on this hard drive that I have here. That's what I did with Austin's. That way, if there's ever any question, somebody wants to see it, first, what the ombudsman would do is say, okay, do they have what standing and provenance do they have to be able to see it? One, why do you need to see it? We trust.
That was my question. I don't even know who gets to see your vetting reports because when they were all up on the computer, and I mean, what if it's, somebody that's really not involved wanting to do it and not vetted or,
Yeah.
do we show it to non-vetted members? Because I would say no. And is that something we need to set policies up on? Or that was my question though earlier that I forgot. So thank you. You picked up my brain for me.
Well, can I caveat on that? That's what our committee structures are for. The vetting committee discusses this. The ombudsman committee discusses this, and they put policy and procedures in place, and then they bring it to the General Assembly, and the people of the Kentucky Assembly make an election on it. And then it's put into practice. Nothing can be put into practice until the General Assembly has a 2/3 vote on it. That's why the committee structure is so important, because nothing can be worked out at the General Assembly level. It's supposed to be the vetting committee come up and say, hey, we've had this meeting off of a suggestion by the Continental Marshal Service. We have implemented this vetting process. We have a Zoom call. We have a 3-panel interview going on a Zoom call that's recorded that can be sent to the Continental or to the State Marshal at Arms office. And he puts that with the files, like your questionnaire, your clear checks, background checks, all those things that we've done, everybody that's been vetted, are in a file folder on this hard drive. And Austin is the first one that we did that 3-panel interview. So what Belinda was saying, I'll second, is I hate to put the vetting committee to work like that, but it's going to protect us in the long run. I don't have nothing to hide. Let's do it again. You know?
It just seems like more work again to go back and it seems like we're going backwards. I'm okay with the vetting process. I mean, but I see what you're saying. It just feels like a little step backwards to me because it's something that we're going back and redoing. But I mean, it probably will protect us in the future. So thank you, Marshall.
This is Belinda on Bullet. And they said we only need to do the interview part. We don't have to go back and do the clear checks where we have to pay $25 a piece again, over and over. But just to go through that vetting process, to have those questions answered on a recording, and then also having that as a file for our vetting, so that when the Federation does come and ask for all of our vetting that they've done, then they have it on video and not just on a piece of paper. Because, you can tell more about a person on a video call than you can written on a piece of paper. So not every step of that vetting process will need to be redone, but just having that questionnaire, like how they come about finding Anna and the site, and what's the difference between common law and, all of the different questions that's on that questionnaire, having that recorded and having someone answer that. That's the piece they're saying that is recommended we redo, not necessarily going through the clear checks again, because that would be expensive. With that, I yield.
Good insight. Thank you. Because I was seeing that too. We kind of have a hard time getting all our mail out, and I'm sorry, but we are disabled, and so that makes that a little better. I just wish we did it right the first time. That's all.
Well, we did do it correctly the first time. This was an updated status that they're doing now and recording everything instead of just taking it on paper.
Okay, I'm sorry I worded it wrong. Yes.
May I give props to Chris Kelty, because he's the one that has taken it upon himself to actually watch those videos and put that process in place. So I would encourage everybody to support him in that role, because the questions that he's going by now are recommended by the Continental Marshal Service, and they're good questions. But if you're a member of that committee and you think that a certain question needs to be asked, then you can talk about it on that committee and get your input and feel like you're doing something as a status corrected American. And I'll have to tell you, I've been doing this for 3 years, not to toot my own horn, but that call between Austin and that vetting, that was an enjoyable time. That was an hour and a half that I enjoyed actually doing. It actually made me want to do this for a living again. It was time. It was production. So it's rarely, you don't have to be, I guess I'm speaking out of school when I say this, but that would be on the vetting committee and what the General Assembly approves and don't approves on who could actually sit on the panel. But I do know the State Marshal at Arms does not need to be a part of that from actually watching that training video. So we would have to come up with a recording secretary, a state treasurer, the vetting committee chair, or whoever he would deem if he's got somebody working under him. I would say it would need to be another vetted man or woman. But yeah, it was very beneficial to me. I felt good after the call. Um, bless Austin Hart, he was doing it at a zoo. So, yeah, but it was fun. It was actually
Oh, so
enjoyable.
you got to see some animals too.
Well, no, he was on blackout. I mean, he
Oh,
had to end up using his wife's phone because his phone wouldn't do audio. So I worked with him at the beginning of it to get him on the call itself. But it was very beneficial. Now that's in his record, and he's good to go. And that's what I told him at the end of the call. Yeah, he's being vetted for the Jefferson County coordinator, but now that he's vetted, he can go within the assembly and do whatever he feels led to do. That's how we do this. If you feel like you want something created, create it. And I told him I'd support him 100% as much as I could. You know, I don't have to be the one to lead everything every time. Laura, you don't have to be the one that leads everything all the time. We need more vetted people to where we can lead committee structures. And that, at this point, it's okay for a state national to lead a committee because that's all we got. So I'll yield. Check out the chat, y'all. I put two bridge calls in there for review, and I think I actually got two coordinator calls in there as well. Yeah, coordinator call from 10/13, 9/29. Let me go back and 9/22. Let me go back and see if there's any more. I yield. Can I make a suggestion? I would suggest that every position that we have now, we, in our spare time of General Assembly meetings, we have 2 General Assembly meetings a month. Those extra Tuesdays, we start taking position by position and doing process and procedure or duties to those roles. That way, when we do get new people that come on, we can go here. When they ask, what do you want? What do I do? Or what do you want me to do? We can go, boom, right there's what you do. And it's
I
something,
second that.
yeah, it's something that's generated by the people, not by a specific office. The people can come up because they can come up with what they want from those positions, and then the General Assembly vote on it, put it into action, and that gives the State Marshal at Arms office something to go by. That way, it's not always being attacked as a police force or anything like that. Because the State Marshal at Arms office, whether I'm in it or if Austin was to be in it, it's a peacekeeping role. It's not a police force. The police are for them, policy enforcement. So I yield. That's just a suggestion.
yes, I just want to reiterate that this for the recording. And, Joe and I have discussed it many times, but a lot of our issues are coming from not having these policies and procedures. And then since we don't have a policy or a procedure to attack a person as getting attacked, and then we're losing our volunteers. And everybody seems to be taking this personal or that personal. And, if we had these policies and procedures, they would be like a protection around our assembly and the people who are trying to volunteer and actually get this thing up and going. And I'll yield with that.
I wish that my computers was such that we could go through the agenda. I'll try it again. screen sharing it. I was able to clear out my browser history, but that didn't seem to help much. Do we want to move the floor, or do we want to wait for some more people to be on here on the next call to move the floor to, I don't know, is it beating a dead horse to go back and have men and women such as Belinda, Laura, everybody that has come on prior to or after the last Continental Marshal Service vetting, which was in 2021. So everybody since that date, it's like Belinda mentioned, we've got all the documents, the questionnaires and stuff like that. Do we want to reach out to the vetting committee and see if he's up for doing 3-panel vettings?
We do, but I think we need to do it just for the people that are serving actively. I mean, do we need to
Right.
redo it for Duran? I mean, that kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? Because he
No,
had to
he's not,
get vetted too. So
right?
just the acting serving people that are serving in positions at the moment.
Right. We, as Americans, we choose our own path in this thing. And so, just no. Why would you vet Duran? He's no longer serving. Why would you vet Jennifer? She's no longer serving. Why would you vet Dustin? He's no longer serving. You
Well,
know?
you said all, so I just clarification is I used to teach little kids. I get things down real simple sometimes. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but I'm not a
But
little kid.
for the,
Apologize.
no, but for the recording, just for clarification, I
Yeah,
didn't mean it that way. That's
yeah,
me. That's
I
my
got
gift.
Yeah, this is Anita on Mead. I think we talked about this a little bit earlier, but I see no reason in backing up and re-vetting people that have already been vetted. I mean, I think that's just being redundant, and I think we just need to move forward. And the vetting committee needs to write down their policies, how they're going to do it, and just stick with what we got. I mean, it's just like everything else. The policies are going to be changing month to month right now, or week to week, however they see fit to do it. So, I mean, we're going to be, trying to keep up with everything they're doing right now. So I think we're wasting time going back and forth on some of this stuff. So, everybody's been vetted as a procedure was in place. And I think the vetting committee just needs to set their policies to go forward. So with that, I yield.
I'll be honest, I'm good either way. I mean, I can see benefits both ways. Like in a way, we're kind of going backwards, but in a way, it might be protection in the future. So if we're voting on it, I would abstain. I yield.
Belinda, your hands up.
I just put a mouthful of trail mix in my mouth.
Well,
Sorry.
while you're chewing, I agree with Anita. We just course correct and move forward. That's how we do. We do it with our paperwork. We do it with everything. So
Yeah, and I was just going to mention that back, was it maybe 2 months ago, maybe 3 months ago, they came out and told us that the Federation would be coming around and doing those vetting soon. And had anybody who was holding a state position had to go out to the Federation site and then fill out all that information, because that's where Jennifer found all my information that one time. Because I know I've done that. They couldn't see my stuff, but again, my name was there, my address was there, phone number was there, like stuff that shouldn't have been, for the public to view, but it was. So I don't know if everybody's done that, because if they haven't, then that is one step you can do next in that process, which is, I think Joe Hayes is the one who sent the link. And Justin, you may have it too, but it's, the Federation's link where if you had a certain position, like it told you whether or not your position needed to be vetted thoroughly or not.
This is Justin. Would I be wrong in just saying that we reach out to Chris and since it is, what do we actually need to do? Because we are the Kentucky Assembly. Just because the Continental Marshal makes a suggestion that we do, we are to take that and discuss that and see what's beneficial for us. I know Anita, you remember Rose. Well, the Continental Marshal Service was saying not to let her be a treasurer when she had every attribute that made her the perfect treasurer. So my office stood up for her because the people was saying they wanted Rose in. Well, the Continental Marshal Service saying that she was having that it was suggested that she wasn't because she was still a Russian citizen or something like that. But we worked it out to where she did her due diligence, did her paperwork and all that. And I explained everything to the Continental Marshal Service. They still was like, why did you go through all this and then still gonna go against our suggestion? Well, the people in Kentucky made the decision and Rose was a treasurer for about 6 or 7 months. So, suggestions, we take those, we take guidance. But my idea on this is we reach out to Chris, we show him this recording, and then we support him on that committee and put that input. Okay, does everybody need to do the Continental Marshal background? What positions do? Okay, so just take Austin, for instance. He's a county coordinator. It's what he got vetted for. They don't vet, Continental Marshal Service don't vet county coordinators. They vet state coordinators, state positions. So we get that process and procedure nailed down, get it typed up, bring it to the General Assembly and elect on it, poll it. You, Laura, your hands up.
What about co-coordinators? Do they need to be the fully vetted? Like if he wanted to switch to co-coordinator with me in off county, would he have to be as a co-coordinator, a co-state coordinator? Just because hopefully somebody steps up and helps me or,
That's
but
what I'm
he
saying.
is helping me even as county. So
That's what I'm saying. The state marshal at arms office should not be the one to make those decisions. That decision should be made at the county level, or not the county level, at the committee level, and then bring it to the General Assembly. And if it's not a 2/3 vote, well, it gets sent right back down to the committee. They work on it again. They bring it back, and the General Assembly does it again. That's just the way the government works.
May I, Justin?
Yes, please. Thank you.
I think what she was saying, since she's a state coordinator, she had to be vetted by the Federation. So if he's gonna sit on the same level as her and take over when she's not able to be there, he would have to be vetted by the Federation also, correct? I mean, he wouldn't have to be as a county coordinator, but if he's gonna be on the same level as Laura and do the same procedures that she's doing right now, as far as, attending the coordinator meeting on Sundays and
Yeah.
all that stuff,
Yeah.
he would
Yeah.
have to be fully vetted, correct? Yeah.
Yeah. By what we have now. Yeah. Yeah, he would.
oh well, I've messed up. Austin has been coming to the Sunday coordinator meetings.
I mean, yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
That's what makes me nervous about being in here sometimes.
Don't
That's
worry
why
about
I need people. I need
We just
I
go,
need Justin. So I mean, like I don't know all this all the time, and we need to have open communication. And I'm sorry for anything, and I'm not out to hurt you.
no, we just need to go forward and have him
Sure.
have him vetted fully.
Yeah.
Just let him say to stay away from the Sunday meetings till we get him fully vetted. So don't worry about it. We'll just go forward. We're all in a learning process, so we can't be beating ourselves up for failing to do this or that. So we just need to keep going.
Yeah,
I yield.
Thank you, Nita, for your course correction. I appreciate that and your help. Melissa, your hand's up.
Yeah, I wanted to know what's the difference in assemblies? Because like, if you go to Google assemblies, it brings up the General Assembly. So are we just a branch of the General Assembly, or kind of how do the assemblies go? Just curious, as far as all of them, like as a whole. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? I yield.
You're pulling up the incorporated assembly, so you have to watch how you put it in there.
I just type in
Cont-
like the assemblies. So that's why I was curious, and then I heard him say General Assembly, but then I heard him say General Assembly, and we got a General Assembly. So I was like, what assembly are we? And why can't I just easily Google Kentucky Assembly and find us?
Because we need ITT people.
Because why?
We need people that have time to build our websites. When we do our agendas, we reach out for ITT people. Austin has made a link tree for us. He was gonna gift it, but is he here tonight? Nope, he's not here tonight. So,
You just
and
have to make sure you put in Kentucky State Assembly. Isn't that correct, Justin? I mean, it will pull up, but you'll be getting the incorporated assemblies before you find ours.
It's all
So-
about jurisdiction. It's all about jurisdiction, air, land, water. We are the land and soil jurisdiction, which makes us the general concurrent jurisdiction over air, land, and water. We have general jurisdiction. So they have their territorial assemblies, they have their municipal assemblies. We are the Land and Soil Kentucky Assembly. And everything stems from our General Assembly. So if you can picture, Melissa, a big circle, it being the General Assembly. Then within that circle, you have the militia pillar, the international business pillar, and the General Assembly pillar. All three of those pillars make up the General Assembly pillar. So it's all about jurisdictions. And Laura was right. You know, right now we are all volunteers. We don't have any corporate backing like the municipal assemblies have, the territorial assemblies have. They have the backing to be able to have these fancy dancy websites. Right now, what we have, it's on there, but it's within your WordPress setting on whether you want to make, like for instance, if we create a link and put it on our website, do we want to put in keywords to where when people do Google the Kentucky Assembly, it comes up. We have all those options. But right now, we need an IT committee to get outside of the General Assembly meetings and come up with this stuff and find people that want to be, because on WordPress, you have the opportunity to have content creators, which they don't need to be vetted. They can just create content and give to an editor, which is a different position within the WordPress app, and they can edit it. And then they send it to a publisher, which is another echelon within the WordPress app, and they have the credentials to be able to publish to the website. It's a process though that needs to be okayed by the General Assembly. So that's, the IT committee would come down and they would say, okay, yeah, we need to add the link tree to the website. Add it to the website, and then the next General Assembly meeting, it would be like a proof of concept. When the IT committee has their presentation to the General Assembly, they would say, okay, this month we've added the link tree. We've added some keywords that when people Google us on Google, it'll bring up the Kentucky Assembly. We could even narrow it down to if they would just want to find out the Kentucky General Assembly or the Kentucky State Assembly Militia. All those things are possible through IT, but it's just right now we don't have the IT committee presence to be able to get people together, get the brain power together that we all have to be able to create that. That's one thing that the municipal and the district assemblies have going for them that we don't. We're not backed by any corporation. We are all self-funded at this point. The WordPress and our IT presence was donated by a man on Kenton County.
Okay, so
So
my question is to accurately look this up, because if I put in the Kentucky State Assembly, it comes up everything else but us. Like, I mean, I literally had to put continue, like, when you run out of options and you hit for more, I hit 3 times and we still didn't come up. So, but
Yeah.
I've tried to tell people the assembly, they're like, I looked at the assembly and it's not, of course, it's not us. So I'm just trying to, for outreach reasons, if there's a technical way that I would look this up, like, would it be, is there a name I'm missing that I'm not, for it to bring it to the jurisdiction for me to have people look us up like that, or no,
it's
because we don't
it's
have any
actually,
web presence?
yeah, we have some web presence, and I'll put the link to it into the chat here in just a second. But it's actually the Kentucky General Assembly. It's not the Kentucky State Assembly. That's corporate. It's the Kentucky General Assembly. And give me just a second, and I'll put our 2 websites in the chat to where you can lead people to.
But even if you look up the General Assembly, it doesn't bring us up. I
Because
mean, I understand
we're
the,
not the General Assembly. The corporation has a General Assembly. We're the Kentucky
but then you said
Assembly.
that was their name was? You said it was you just said it, that it was. That was the words that just came out your mouth.
What he's
Okay,
trying
I
to tell you,
apologize. I
it's the
apologize. I misspoke. It's the Kentucky Assembly, and it's built up by 4 pillars. One pillar being the General Assembly, another pillar being the militia pillar, the other pillar being the General Assembly pillar, and the other pillar being the International Business Assembly pillar. It's the Kentucky Assembly. I apologize for misspeaking. I yield. I'll put the link into the chat.
Something that I would like just to state for the recording is that each state only has one assembly. Because, and I know other assemblies are having this issue, but people want to branch off and start because they're not getting along with people on their assemblies. And they start, wanting to do their own assembly. And Anna has stated many, many times that we only have one assembly. There is no like branching off and doing your own thing over here or there. And I think that a lot of the assemblies that I'm seeing in the Federation and hearing, and the question has come up to me honestly from some of our members before, and it's no, we have one assembly. So just want to state that. Thank you. I yield.
This is Belinda on Bullet. Melissa, to help you out, is even if our IT committee had our Kentucky site up and running, our site is going to get blocked by a lot of things like Google and DuckDuckGo and some of the other ones. Like, I have a hard time pulling up anything on the assembly unless I'm in Brave or um, sometimes DuckDuckGo. But I know Google gives me problems every single time. And I have a Google email and it doesn't like to open my links. So it also helps to be on the right search engine when you're looking up anything assembly related. And when you're trying to send people to the assembly or have them look at them, I have a form. I think it was Tom and Shelby that had them printed up, but it's did you know printout that you can just hand out to people. It's like a little handout. It gives them the Anna's website, the TASA website, and it gives, once you get to that website, then they can choose the state in which, wherever they reside, and then that will take them to the state site, which is the one I believe Justin just shared. But that's how I would go about doing it instead of trying to tell them it's the Kentucky Assembly, because if you just tell them that it's a Kentucky Assembly, they're always going to wind up to the de facto one and not ours. That's almost 99.9% of the time. And with that, I yield.
It's just a normal and general conversation. I'll say something. I mentioned the assembly. No, well, the assembly, they're like the assembly, and so then I got to elaborate on what I mean. And so that's kind of how that goes. That's why it gets brought up at all. But
Yeah, and it's I've had this with people when I talk to them, because when I say I'm the state treasurer for the General Assembly for Kentucky, they're always like, really? You know, that seems like it's a really big position, because again, in their eyes, they're thinking of the state assembly, the corporated side, not the unincorporated. And it's hard to explain when you say that. And that's why I always start with state national and the TASA website, and then they can feed from there and get 100 different links. But I would also save the links for the Kentucky site because that's our site, the one we operate. We just have to get an IT person who will commit to actually making changes on that site for us, that will update it, that knows how to do WordPress and all that. So if anyone knows anybody that is willing to do that for us, that would be great, because that would put us on the map and move us leaps and bounds forward above other assemblies. And I think that would be a really great start for us. With that, I yield.
So would it be like instead of .gov, it'd be .un.gov, so we're the unincorporated government? Haha.
No, the links are in the chat as well as the Did You Know document. The digital version is in the chat. So if you want to share, if you want to go to the chat and copy and paste those to your web browser, that Did You Know document is in digital format. So then you can just share that link, just text it to somebody, and our websites are on that document. Take a minute and look at it. It's pretty cool. I'll bring it up if I can and screen share it. In just a second.
That's what I have printed out and I hand out to everybody that I talk to about it, because it gives them way more information, probably more than they want, but it does make them think if they actually go and look at it.
Yeah. So this is in the chat. It's in digital format. So when you click copy and save it to your web browser, do a bookmark on your phone web browser. And then this way, when you're doing your outreach, you just go to that bookmark, copy it, send it to a text message. If you scroll down right here, there's the TASA website, the state assembly's website, which I think is gone by now. And then right here's our website. All they have to do is click on that link and it takes them right to that website. And then if they want to know more on how to do their paperwork, this right here is a clickable link to where it goes right to the coordinator's email, because the coordinator is the first line of not of defense, but is the first person that should be, or first man or woman that should be talking to people that are coming to the assembly. That's what it's called, a coordinator. You know, they coordinate. Do you need your paperwork done? Okay, I'll coordinate you and send you to the recording secretaries. Do you want more information before you do your paperwork? Okay, I'll coordinate you and I'll send you to the coaches that we have or mentors that we have set up in our outreach committee. We are a committee-based government. I yield. But I did put in the chat both websites. We have a Kentucky State Nationals.us website, and then we also have an outreach website that needs to be worked on too, and it's the TheKentuckyAssembly.info. So TheKentuckyAssembly.info. So the purpose behind that was .info. Okay, do you want to do status correction or do you just want info on it? So we would populate that website with just all kinds of info where people can go and self-govern and do their own research. The Kentucky State Nationals.us was geared more towards already status corrected men and women that have done that process. And now they can come to this website, the Kentucky State Nationals.us website, and they can find out. They can click on it. Hopefully we get an IT committee and they can build into where they can click on ANA links. They can click on litigation calls across the country with that link tree that is going to be created, hopefully. So it's all organic, all works together. It's just we need the people to build it. I yield.
This is Anita on Mead. I make the motion to adjourn for tonight.
I'm sorry to speak for my husband, but he's in the other room and he wanted to invite Justin to a conversation either on this or by phone call after. And I won't be there. I will be going to bed.
I
So he's in the other room at the moment. So if we're gonna adjourn and get off here, I'm sorry.
no apologies. I can't do it tonight. I've got to go out and take care of my animals, and I'm going to call my youngins and talk to them. I'm not doing any. I'm taking off work tomorrow to work on the tractor and stuff. I'd be more than happy to have a conversation with him tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm trying to bring up the agenda. We've had a motion or a move to adjourn. Check this date out. The next date to convene is November 5th. Yeah. So let me try and bring it up one more time. That way we can get it for the record on recording. But Anita Amid has moved the floor that we adjourn. Give me just a second, please.
Well, I will second it.
Okay, we have a second out of Laura Domick on Jefferson County. Trying to bring it up so we can see the date. That would be helpful. I'd hate to have to buy a new computer. This sucks. There it is. Just real quick. Hopefully it'll share real quick. I'll scroll all the way down to the bottom. And there we go. Come on up. Not gonna do it. Yeah, it is. Not gonna do it. Yeah, it is. There it goes. All right. So Anita Amid has moved the floor that we adjourn. Lord Domick on Jefferson County has seconded that motion. The next date to convene is November 5th, 2024 at 7 p.m. Is there any abstains? Any nays at this time?
I do have one thing. We do need to set up a meeting to talk about getting these sheriff's notices out that I would like Joe Hayes to be at. And he's not here tonight. So how do I reach out to him and then just contact you tomorrow and you can send the link out? Will that work? Or
Would it be wise to have like a notice committee talk about that? So we have people that's putting input. Okay, what goes in the notice? Who do we send it to? All that stuff that needs to be talked about on the meeting.
yeah, like I said, Lucas has one that's quite lengthy to the Sheriff's Association. It's a template.
Yeah.
But for me to take it and do something with it, I'm really trying to do mine. So I was just going to do I asked them in the coordinator call, the criminal claim and information and the sheriff's note. And she did tell me, and I don't remember what the third thing was, but they did suggest, contacting the Sheriff's Association too.
Yeah. Well,
So
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
it's
I would just say this. I mean, in order for us to do that, then it has to be approved by the General Assembly. And we need some kind of committee structure to come up with what we're going to present to the General Assembly that they can go, yeah, I'm good with sending this out, or no, I'm not good with sending this out. Let's work on it a little bit more. So it's not just, it's not just on you. It's not just on me. It's not just on anybody. We're in agreement. We're a team effort in this. And so, yeah.
Well, I make the suggestion that you reach out to Joe and see what his schedule is and then schedule a meeting around his schedule. I mean, and then we'll go forward from there because you want him to be there. So,
And I don't think we have to vote on whether or not we send the notices out. I mean, we've been told to send them. And I would do it myself, but it's 120 counties. I mean, and then the mailing for it, we would need funds, so that we would have to vote on for sure. But I
Right.
don't know as far as some of them have sent them out by email. And if anybody could get like just an email list, that would at least get them on notice because it seemed like it was urgent. That's why I called it an emergency meeting from what I got and you can listen to the recordings and how much it's been talked about, but they really want these sheriffs noticed so that they can, I guess, start with the peacekeeping and start, because it's going to take a while. But then Anna said their funding, I'm sorry, wasn't ending until January. So, I mean, I think we'll probably have that leadway until then because, and then maybe some of the sheriffs, maybe we're being put off on it because some of them need to think about it. I mean, I know, and I'm thankful that Indiana's doing it, but I know that sheriff in Harrison County called me and, called me a sovereign citizen and yelled at me in front of my daughter. I'm sorry. I can read your body language, but I'm just saying some of these sheriffs are not going to accept this. So maybe we're being put off for that reason, and I'll yield.
I would ask you as a coordinator to ask somebody at the federation level, does it need to be approved by the General Assembly, or can we just go off and send it off and, everybody that's in the General Assembly get attacked because of it? That's all I'm trying to say.
Okay.
So, from the coordinator position, I request that answer, that question be asked of somebody from the federation level.
I will get an answer for you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, we're working together. Oh, you unmuted.
Yeah, I was another. Justin,
Yes, sir. I
Yeah.
apologize, but sir. Yes, Bob.
Bob from Jefferson County. Do you have a few minutes after our meeting tonight, recording is stopped for us to just have a talk, you and I?
I just asked him that. He said
Do
tomorrow.
not tonight. I do not tonight. I've got stuff I've got to get to around the homestead, and my youngins are
Okay,
waiting for me
I'm
to
sorry,
come.
I was in the other room.
But I do have tomorrow at your convenience. You just send me a text and I will make time available for sure.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. I mean, everybody on the call, I know the notices need to be sent out, but shouldn't it be a levied thought before we just start sending out notices? Shouldn't there be some people that bring, email lists to a meeting, a notice to a meeting? And I just, from doing this for a while, think that it needs to be everybody's opinion in on it. Who's going to sign it? Who's going to autograph it? Are we all going to put our names on it like the Declaration of Independence? Those are things that need to be discussed at a committee level with Joe there, with everybody there that wants to put in their 2 cents. And
And I
then
know Joe's on vacation too.
yeah. And so let's just find out the proper way to do it. I mean, it's not, if we've gotten to January, it's not that much of an emergency. So I yield.
Well, we'll have on a Thursday night.
Yeah. Yeah, you ask good questions, and she enjoys your questions, Laura. She actually said, "I'm glad you asked this question." So yeah, I, as a Lincoln County, request that we get some clarification from Anna or somebody.
Well, like I said, we just need to talk with Joe and see what his schedule is, and then we can set up a meeting. I yield.
Did we stop? Did you stop my children?
All right. So the next date to convene the General Assembly meeting will be November 5th. Ought to be a fun day. I hope. Is
I hope
anybody?
tensions aren't high on that day. Like, I hope our internet works and
Yeah.
we can do it. And
Yeah.
see you then.
Y'all have a good night.
Okay.
And you all need
So
to get signal put on your phones. As Anna said, if the internet goes down, you can still do messages on Signal.
okay.
Oh,
That's
yes,
cool.
she did. I downloaded it when she said that, but I've not used it. But that's even if the towers go down. I thought she said, like, for like the hurricane victims, a lot of them were saying that on TikTok too. So I yield. Thank you.
Hey, I'm gonna close the recording out, and then I've got a question for everybody about that man on Louisiana. I'll make sure everybody's seen that video. But if there's no nays about adjourning on till November 5th, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 All right. Let me stop this recording here.